Alright guys, and welcome to our first in the playlist of the Gemini DC slider that sits over there, opened up. And what we're going to do is just go first over the main board and its functions. When you first look at it, it might be a little bit daunting, but it's really simple. So I think let's start with the most tricky of the bits here. Here are your dip switches. Now you've got townhouse, and what that does is when the gate opens, um, it will not receive any inputs. So you can't press a button to close it. It will remain open until its auto close timing is done, and then it will start to close. And then that's only if somebody goes through the beams, and it will open again. Then you've got your beam follower, which basically means if you've got your beams and you drive through, it will wait until the beam is no longer broken and then it will close again. And then you've got your motor direction, which is quite simple, really. I'm gonna leave that on there. That really tells the board which is the open position and which is the closed position. This is the old receiver plug, which is no longer available. This is the new board over here, and the functions are very similar. So we're going to go over that, and here you can see the dip switches. Let's get that into focus. Really the same with your motor directions, beam follower, and townhouse. And then you got your auto close timing with quite a bad diagram here, but in your manual you're going to get a better diagram. And then moving around, you're going to see there's a sensitivity over here, and that's basically once you got your motor installed, you adjust that. So you're closing the gate and you keep your hand there, and you just got to see how much pressure it puts on your hand before it auto opens again. That's to protect any cars going through if you don't have any uh, beams, and it won't damage the car. That's why when you're driving through a gate and the gate is closing, you don't continue driving because you will mangle your car. You just stop and hope that's set right. They normally set in the middle, which is about average. And then you've got your main transistor here, and that is something to look out for if you've gone through all the diagnoses and your gate has been closing hard and it doesn't have that soft close, and that can actually crack in half. I've seen that cracked in half. So you've gone through all the tests, you can't find anything wrong, board's not working. It's that transistor that gets damaged. So yes, and then over here you've got a slow blow over there, and this is your 3 amp. This is a 16 amp, and that's a 3 amp. The 3 amp fuse protects the auxiliaries like your beams, your external remotes, and everything. And the 16 amp protects the motor. So if the gate has reached an obstruction, say for example while opening it hit a tree, then it's going to blow. Or if the gearbox is gone, then it's going to blow that fuse before it damages the actual motor. Both can be repaired quite well. And then on these inputs over here, you've got your trigger common and your pedestrian, where the gate would just open for a bit, and then a negative, and then your IR beam, and then a 12-volt positive. This can be disconnected. We'll get to that in a minute. Over here, you got an auto close loop. If you remove that, your auto close function is gone. I'm not fond of auto close timing. I would rather say just switch your rear beam follower on. It's way more secure. You don't want that gate to be open, not in South Africa. And then this LED plus and minus. I've never seen it used. I've never used it myself. That is for an external status LED. I've never seen it used. Then you've got your lights, common and normally open. That's these two. So you can actually fit in a 230-volt light. That live comes in through common and then goes out normally open. Then when your gate opens, it'll switch the light on, leave it on for 3 minutes. And then moving across to here, you've got your inputs from the rest of the motor. This is the first two are the batteries. The second two are the white ones, are from the manual lever over here. And the last three are from either what's called the pulse sensor or the shaft encoder, which sits in here. We'll do a separate video on that. So that covers the main peripherals around the side. Over here, these two wires go directly to the motor, and these two wires go directly to the battery. So I think we'll just go over the new board. And I can get this back into focus. And then you have your test, bypass, and learn button. So on your test bypass, it's going to operate the gate. And then the learn button for remotes, that is to program your remotes. Let's see if it will focus in there. And then you got a bypass. Now, we are going to cover that in a whole video, but that is to test if this over here is working, this switch in here, because there's actually a switch in there. And then onto the chipsets. This chipset controls the functions of the motor, and that one stores a remote. So if you've got a new one of these and you want to swap them over, you can actually take that chip out, put it in the new one. Doesn't work on the new board, so that's something you've got to be aware of. It isn't going to work on the new boards, and I think that basically covers up the basics of the board, really. It looks very complex, but it's a tremendously simple piece of kit. This is the new board over here, and it's Gemlink compatible. So it has your usual inputs. These are all compatible with the older ones. That just connects onto your battery and motor. There's your transistor. There's your sensitivities. And then over here, it's got a Gemlink that comes on top there and clips on there. And that actually turns it into a smart motor. I would, however, just warn you that if you're an installer and you want to add a Gemlink, it's got a code underneath and all sorts. You have to download the app. There's a whole story to it. They are not resettable, so you do have to hand it over to the client. So I prefer just not to, just let the client set it up from the start. There's very few people actually want a start motor, a smart motor. So it's, if they do, they're going to set it up themselves. Then over here, let's put that on there, is your bypass button, again to test the manual lever. And then you've got your normal test and your receiver learn. So exactly the same in functionality, except this one takes a Gemlink. It's smart compatible, same fuses, and the other one is not Gemlink compatible. It takes the bespoke Gemini receiver over here that plugs in. It's sort of like a telephone jack that goes in, and that's pretty much the main board.